All right, so we're gonna get started.
Hey, Jamie.
I wanna thank everyone who was able to make it out this morning for this panel discussion about different team structures from some of the top team leads in our company. For those that do not know, let me introduce. We have Renee DeCrue down at the end with the DeCrue team. We have
I got it.
Tim Sova with the Sova team, and Tom Rafferty with the RPM group. So yeah, this is being recorded as well, but the Q&A that's going to hopefully ensue after some of the questions that I present to the panel, that's where the true value comes in. So for those that were able to attend today, thank you so much. So we're gonna start, basically, I'll throw it to each of you. You can do a little introduction, but the general first question to put out there when introducing your team, what type of structure do you have and why for your team? So I guess Tom, if you want to go first.
Let's see, structure-wise, I've got one administrative person that does all the, I refer to it as nonsense, all the stuff, the typing, the DocuSign, inputting listings, and then I have agents that work with me. I guess the term is buyer agents, but I refer to them as team members, and they get the opportunity to use the administrator, and I help them through their transactions. So they're, agents within, I'm a member, our team is a member of RE/MAX Platinum, and then I have a small team that I help, grow their business. But basically, it's all wrapped around, everybody on the team should be out selling real estate and not sitting behind a computer doing all the nonsense that's required today.
Okay,
So
and
that's
then
in a nutshell.
I know one question that as the industry has evolved with the team concept, when it comes to listings, is it that you are the agent as the listing agent on all listings? Do you have co-list agents?
We end up co-listing.
Okay.
I don't have them refer the listings to me, or I don't have a specific listing agent. Again, I've got a pretty small team.
Yeah.
So they just kind of work underneath me. I go on appointments with them, take, a percentage of their action, if you will, and I use that money that I receive from their efforts, to pay for this and Heather and things like that. So it's more of a pass-through situation so that everybody can work more efficiently. That's kind of how ours is set up.
Okay. Thank you. Tim?
We're kind of similar. I'm the listing agent on the team. And then I have two buyer's agents, Bruce and Mary Kay. They work solely with buyers. And then Colleen, the big boss, truly, she manages the team and she handles all of the marketing efforts and investigation of that and the numbers. So I can focus on listing properties, and then the buyer's agents can focus on working with buyers. Pretty small team. We are looking to grow a little bit, not so much as, I think we need somebody that is more of an administrative person. And whether we farm that out or bring someone specific onto the team, because we're wasting a lot of time doing the day-to-day stuff that is taking time away from us to do more business, I would say. So I think that's important, and probably, and we used to have somebody in that position, and then we took over those duties ourselves. So that's probably the first type of person that somebody needs versus buyer's agents or anything along those lines, I would say, to free up your time to do more important things. So we're looking that direction. Also, I shouldn't even say this. My son is taking I didn't tell you guys this, but he's taking the real estate exam today. So hopefully he passes. And if so, either way, he's gonna be coming on our team. And then we'll probably gradually bring him on more as, start out as working with buyers, but slowly transition to working all aspects, buyers and sellers, so we can eventually bow out down the road, have somebody to take it over. So that's what we got.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Very cool. Renee?
So, when we built your crew team, it really was small as well. It was, myself, Tony, we decided to get into real estate. I own Advanced Medical Solutions. It's 31st year in business, and my kids actually are running that now. And so we've got the two buildings next to each other. So when we started, it was just Tony and myself. And the first thing I did was hire an assistant, and I modeled the crew team the way I built Advanced Medical. It was proven, it worked, so I hired an assistant, and then as we started to grow, we ended up mentoring some of those assistants who became licensed agents, and then they ended up becoming buyer's agents, assisting with listings and so on. So right now we have kind of a mentor-mentee program, and we also have the team lead to team agent. So I've got a couple of agents coming on. I always love having young agents, new agents come on when they get their license. If you have the time to mentor them and have them come along with you, knowing eventually they're probably going to leave you and do their own thing. And that's your goal is for them, especially as young ones, to be successful in life. So we've got that. And we also have the team listing manager is myself actually, but we also have a listing person, and we also have a transaction coordinator. And so when the team brings in a buyer's agent, they might list. So when they do that, then we share the listing. We end up being on the listing as co-listers. So it seems to be pretty effective.
Wonderful. So another question then would be, there's a lot of different team structures out there. Do you feel that you do anything that's unique that other teams may not be doing in how you've approached it or built your teams? Tim, let's start with you.
I don't know that we do anything unique from the standpoint of our structure. I think we could do better. I think I'm pretty relaxed, and so my team it's not crack the whip and you will do this and that and make these phone calls, and it's more about what they want and what they're gonna get out of it. So no, I think you have to have systems, most definitely, whether you're a single agent, probably more important as a single agent, but as you build a team, you have to have systems in place for them to follow and structure that way. Otherwise, it's just all over the board and there's chaos. So I think that's the biggest thing, would be having those systems. And I learned that long time ago from Dan Callen and Christy Callenberry that that's very important, because it saves time, it's consistent, and consistency reflects on how your business runs and grows. So
Yeah.
Renee?
Systems and policies and procedures are huge, and as a matter of fact, I brought a couple of samples of our policies and procedures, because systems are huge. And it's not like you say, being on them, but people need to be able to refer. And as you grow, you need to be able to have something to refer to. So we've got samples of what's our business plan, what's our mission, what is your goal as a realtor? And that is where you start. And when he said Dan Callen and Christy Canterbury, that's when I started in 2014 when I became a realtor again and took my license out of holding. I ended up emulating the top producers, looked for them. And actually one of them, you were one of them, and so were you. So I look at I type their name and see what what they look like on social media. And you've got to, that a top producer is successful. I even went out of state to California, New York. I wanted to see what's out there. I wanted to learn the business. I wanted to be an expert in what I did. So, something different is what your question was, correct?
Yeah.
I think with us, difference is that we are full service, sometimes a little too much full service, but when we go in and we have a vision for a client, I look at the service and not how much we're gonna spend, and I look at the end result. The goal is to sell the house and maximize profit, and so, for the clients. And so, you know, as you guys may know, we stage, we paint, we clean, we've done it all. And so it's great, but at times my OCD gets me in trouble and my team wants to kill me because I have a vision of this rental that we have to make look beautiful. So I think with me, it's me going a little too far with the staging and spending time on that versus let's go out and make the sales. But again, it all goes around service and the end result.
Okay. Tom?
I don't know if there's anything unique necessarily. You know, we went with recently, I don't know, last 18 months ago, the RPM, just so as not to brand me as a human, you know, and that, in my opinion, will keep people, you know, I had a real estate company with my name on it for a while. People, you know, they're out selling for me, and I wanted people building their own business instead, which someday will allow me theoretically to do less, you know, refer more,
Right.
take the cut. So at some point, that's my end goal.
Have you found it's been helpful for, when trying to recruit others onto your team, that it isn't your name, it is now a brand that is?
I haven't really tried. I mean,
Okay.
I'm not, this is plenty big. I mean, people have come and I mean, it hasn't really, it's a relatively new concept for me.
Okay.
I've always been an individual agent, but I have found that, you know, this situation aside, but previously, people, you know, want to brand themselves or brand something, so. I think, what's that outfit in Ann Arbor, the guy that does a Spotlight? Yeah, so that was
Yeah.
kind of where I got that once I was able to do that.
Right.
So it's worked out well so far, because people can, they're still people. I mean, not to say they're not, but, you know, that would be unique, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
Great.
And I would say, like Renee said, we also have a staging company. And so I should have mentioned early on, my sister is part of our team as far as staging and design. And, you know, that is so important, especially going into this market that we're going into.
Yeah.
Even when the market was super hyper, it didn't matter what the house looked like, it was gonna sell and it was gonna get multiple offers. If it looked like it needed staging, we were recommending staging, you know. It's so important to do all of those things that you do regardless of what the market is, because markets shift and change. And I see it so often that agents will, they got relaxed with what they were doing because it would sell. I just stick a sign in the yard, it's, you know, it's gonna sell, and I don't have to spend a lot of money and do that. Well, sellers remember that, and agents remember that. And so if you do everything that you always do, even, you know, like you would in a super tough market, you know, that comes through in your business and people remember that. So that's ultra important.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I could just say even briefly, that's how you get more business, is people see, in other words, the house is gonna sell no matter what, but if the public sees a shoddy presentation, and I recently learned that, I was the guy with the cell phone, and then more photos to follow soon, and it would sell before I had to spend the money on the pics.
Yeah.
But I've changed my headspace around that.
Has that increased? Have you seen an uptick since you have changed your health?
Gives me a better presentation. I
I
haven't
think that's
tracked the
really
results, but it's just who you are to the public,
Yes.
and if you,
It's your brand you're representing.
indeed, yeah,
And
so it's,
presenting.
yeah, people could potentially use that against you or whatever, so it's just silly not to have it
Absolutely.
consistent, to your point, no matter what's going on, so.
And people will actually say that when we're listing a house, I can tell if you staged it. So they know what our look is, and they know what Tim's look is, and they'll know what yours are too. You know, they know what we do, and that's our reputation. So, exactly, service. I just keep saying the service to my team and everybody else that I work with.
Well, with the benefit of hindsight, is there anything when you look back on your career that, you know, mistakes you made along the way, or knowing what you know now that, you know, you should have been doing it 6, 8 years ago? Renee, is there?
Well, I think in every transaction you learn something, and I think as you as an agent, and if you decide to build a team, you have to dot your i's and cross your t's, because in every single transaction, as I tell, you know, our new buyers agents that come on and they get all freaked out about something, I'm like, listen, this happens, you know, but dotting i's, crossing t's actually helps you not have the same mistake twice. If you can take the mistake that you learned, you've got, look, I had to buy a freezer once because we didn't put, you know, all appliances, or we didn't put basement refrigerator. And so, you know, here we are buying something that we probably shouldn't have had to, spending money. So making sure that you're very thorough at the listing side and at the purchase agreement side, because getting a deal under contract, and I say it to clients all the time, and I know you guys too, getting a listing and getting it under contract is the easiest part of our job. It's getting us to the closing table and them money in their hand. So every step is really, really important. And again, why you should have systems and procedures and checklists, or, you know, databases to keep things on. And that, the Remind system, people, I know everyone says, oh, Remind, but actually Remind is a database that as we start to learn it and do better with it, it is a really good database that if you utilize it, put all your client data in it, that will help you. So I think spending a lot of money on things that we could have learned, but I also learned from that every transaction we learn from.
Yeah, great. Tom?
Kind of the same thing as it relates to, I've been doing it long enough that sometimes I don't look at things carefully enough, and it has cost me money over time because my clients generally trust me. They don't spend a lot of time going over the contracts. This is how it is, and I paraphrase, so pardon me, I might look back, excuse me, and just be a little more careful, or it's nice, back to the team concept, Heather reviews everything now too, so at least we get a second set of eyes before I interact, and as we all know, a lot of the business, thank goodness, takes place over the phone and electronic signatures versus going out to kitchen tables. I mean, I still do, but that sometimes has caught me as the technology's grown, where I guess for lack of a better word, again, just take things for granted that I know stuff, and then I end up going, oh shoot. But the team helps because, there's always at least 2 sets of eyes before there's anything sent out, for signature, whereas in the old days, you'd be at the table, and they want you to half-ass read the whole thing, and you would, because paraphrase every paragraph, this means this means this. So anyways, I pay a little more attention now.
Yeah.
Or should have back then.
Yeah. Tim?
I would say, and Dan Callen told me this a long, long time ago, he wishes, when this was then, that he would have better managed his database, right? And I'm sure he does today, more so. But database management is huge. The longer you're in the business, the more deals you do, the more clients that you have, and you want those clients to be clients for life and not forget about you and go somewhere else. And managing that database, and I wish I would have done it from day one a lot better than we do today, and Colleen does more of it than any of us, and we could do so much better with contacting and calling and being in touch with our database. I know that we did a short stint, we got to get back at it, not too long ago, when we were reaching out to our database, right? And we got a hold of a few that said, oh, I wish you would have gotten to me sooner, I just listed it down in Ann Arbor, you know, last week. And I'm like, that's my fault. You know, if I would have stayed in touch with you and not just took it for granted that you would call me, you know, because we sold your house and did a great job 6 years ago, you know, that listing would have been ours down there. He would have listed with us, but he thought, oh, I'm down in Ann Arbor and whatever, time goes on, I know somebody else, and guess what, they listed with somebody else, and that happens, and you don't even know that it happens until you're looking at the new listings and you see that their house is on the market, or their house just sold, and you're like, damn it.
Yeah.
Your stomach turns.
And then
Yeah,
you think,
because that's money out of your pocket.
Yeah, you know
that you would have
exactly
had,
what that
and they would have
was.
listed with you because they knew what you did before, and you just let that one go. And 2 other people, you know, got paid on that deal, and you didn't. So
that's one of the, if I could just add to that, that's one of the most painful things you get as a realtor, and it happens to you. So when you're starting out and building a team, it is really important to set up your processes as far as get their birth dates. Set up a database that you send out birthday cards. When clients close, we put it on our calendar, anniversary of their close date, and put a week prior to that, and then we say, it's your anniversary, happy house anniversary. And so they have cards like that, we bought them. We're not utilizing them the way we should. We, again, need to get back into that, but way too many times where we find out that a client sold with someone else and not through us because we weren't on our game.
Great. Well, let's open it up to the audience. Okay, Jamie.
Keeping in touch. I always find it a little awkward to pick up the phone and have a reason to call. I'd like to do it more, but then time gets a little further and further and it gets a little more awkward. Picking up the phone to keep in touch. What are some good ways that you have a reason to call?
Yeah. You wanna go first, Tim, or?
and I'm the worst at it. I will tell you, and my team knows it, and our coach knows it, and I will not, and I don't, and this is shame on me, but that's the last thing I want to do. I've never liked it, and it comes through, so I don't pick up that phone and make that call, and that is awful. I should do that, right? But there's simple things that you can do around that. And it's just a simple, hey, you've been in your, I know I haven't talked to you in a while, but I know you've been in the house for 3 years. Markets have changed. Just wanted to let you know, what we're seeing out there and, see how you're doing. It's as simple as that. And that's, you're not trying to do anything other than maybe give them some information. Give them, you know what, when you bought your house 6 years ago or 8 years ago, interest rates were here. They've made a shift, but right now they're down at 4.1. You might want to consider, if you haven't, looking at where your rate was then. You're offering them a benefit. You're not calling them to say, hey, who do you know that I can sell a house for?
Mm-hmm.
You're not trying to get. So if you're offering them, believe me, if somebody called you that you'd done business with, you're not going to be put off with. But we feel like that's what's going to happen, right? We're bothering them.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably going to be happy to hear from you, and it's you're not there for a half-hour conversation. It's just a quick, hey, here's what's happening. This is what we're thinking. Just thought we would share that with you. Hope you're doing well. A lot of times they won't even answer, and you can just leave a message.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, guess who I heard from today? We were thinking about, we should give her a call back because we were thinking about selling or doing, or we know our son's gonna do something. So, if you don't make it about you, and that's across the board, anything that you're doing, if it's not about you, you're fine.
I think too, is there's every holiday out there that you can take advantage of. And so when I add my clients to my phone and my database, I'll say Remax client, or I'll put Remax seller, or Zillow if you do Zillow. And so I can pull up the database really pretty quick. And so you have every holiday out there. You've got Halloween, you have 4th of July, you have Memorial Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day. I will literally sit and send out one text to them. Hey, happy holidays to you and your family, blah, blah, blah. It's just being out there. And we also, at the holidays, will go around and deliver Christmas gifts. It gets harder and harder when you have, so we've now decided it goes we make mass quantities of little baskets. And it doesn't have to be a lot. It's just something that's thoughtful. And then we go and deliver them all. We do cards. RE/MAX has the database that you have available to do the monthly newsletters. Some people like it, some people don't. But you already have that database available in RE/MAX. Learn it and utilize it, because it's got actually prepped stuff for you. You can create your own. So right down to, you met someone to show a house, and you'd like to keep following up with them. Sending them that letter right away. Hey, it's nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. Setting it up on a database is great. And if you need help with that, I can show you, or Jordan can show you too. But I would definitely recommend that you do that and take advantage of the holidays or the events that allows you to call them and it's not about you. I, like Tim, do not like making phone calls, and most people don't. We don't want to be salespeople. We want to be service people. And so we're there to help people. And when you take that, I'm a salesman and a cheap salesman out of your mind, then you'll do fine.
There's another way to do that too, without having to make an initial phone call, is shoot a quick 20-second video that's not directed directly to them with their name. Now you can send that out to everybody, right? Hey, just, no, I haven't been in touch in a long time, or whatever it is, just wanted to say hi, and, whatever it is, and now you just made your life easy, right? You just sent that out. Maybe do a few of those, and then you can pick up the phone a little easier, because maybe they contacted you back. Hey, cool video, or whatever it was. So that's a way too. I'm always looking for a way to get around the phone.
And it's actually cool when I just had it the other day, and the gentleman, as he was on the phone with me, sent me a text and a link and said, I'd like you to meet me, and I'm going to send you a video about. And it was just, that's pretty cool. That's a good bang. You're on top of your client. So
You could sing a show tune.
yeah, there we go.
I've heard you singing, I wondered what that was.
Jamie walks around singing show tunes all the time.
Yeah, there we go.
So, can I just ask a quick follow-up question? Are you feeling like you're not liking to pick up the phone because it's awkward for you, or is it just easier to do a mass item that you can cover more people?
No.
So is it a time-saving factor, or is it, I just don't?
Well, it can be both, right?
Yeah, it
For
could-
me, I don't like the phone.
It's comfort for me.
I never have. I don't do it well.
For me, it's more time, because you never know how long you're gonna be on the phone, what's gonna happen. You don't wanna be short. It's just, this is still a very personal business. The clients get going, and some clients not to call in the afternoon because they've been after it all day. So some you get to know your clients, but you don't. For me, it's, odds are I'm gonna run into something else to do, personally or professionally, so I might not get in the calls. I don't block out the time, is the moral of the story. I guess I know a lot of people that do, that make a lot of calls and do quite well, right, Nick? So, that's, if you block the time out, in my opinion,
If
it's
you're
not the scary
comfortable,
part.
it's
just-
really about your comfort. We all have a different style of marketing and how we do things. So really, I think all three of us, we're just not wanting to be on the phone. It's a comfort thing. We don't want to be that, cheap salesperson calling for no reason. So you come up with a reason. If you're comfortable with it and you just want to say, hey, I've got some stuff going on. How are you? How are the kids? That's fantastic. But it's just really about your comfort zone. One thing that I'm starting to do for closings, and I thought this was kind of a cool thing, is that, we do our closings, we make our little gift baskets. They're inexpensive for us because we literally just make them. But they send a nice message that we care. But then also at closings, they'll say, hey, if you end up having a housewarming party, we'd like to be invited and bring some food. I'm telling you, they love it. I haven't had anyone do it yet. And I'm like, you mean that? Oh, yeah, we would love to be part of that. And that's a great way to get to meet other people. This is our realtor, blah, blah, blah. So, just those little things make a big difference. You care. You want them to know you care.
One thing I actually wanted to add to Jamie's question, not that I'm a panel member, but we all, as agents, when we're driving around, if we see a house that we sold to somebody in the past, I assume you're like me. I look at the house. I always, oh, yep, I know who lives there. I sold them that house. That's the perfect opportunity, to then give them a call to say, hey, I was in your neighborhood
Yeah.
showing a house down
Great
the road. I saw your house. I saw what you've done with the front yard. It looks lovely. Just, I hadn't talked to you in a while. Just wanted to, say, like, that's a great, no salesman-y approach to it is,
I love it.
of course, if you're driving by the house and you reach out, simple.
Yeah.
I have a different question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you absorb the staging costs, or do you pass those on to the seller via a
Every
referral?
agent
or-
does it differently. We do absorb it. And,
You do absorb it?
We absorb it.
Okay.
Because we own the staging company, I always make sure that my sister gets paid. So they're going to pay something for it. Sometimes and we can do it at a lot lesser cost than if you call and go out and find a staging company, they're gonna
Right.
charge you $4,000 or
Right.
some. So we can do it at a lot lower cost. Sometimes it's like anything, if they're willing to pay for it and you can show them the benefit, then I let them pay for it. If it's, well, I don't know, and I know that it's going to help, because it does, I'll tell them I'll go half. Well, we own the staging company, so going half,
Right.
they're getting a better price, so we are absorbing that. But they should have, in my opinion, a little bit into it, because they'll see the benefit more when it does sell for more money, faster. They walk in, and I just had a lady, the house was super, super dated. Carpets were stained, the bones were good, and I had to battle with her to let us stage it, right? Because it was vacant, it was empty. I agreed to go half with her on it, and so she finally agreed to let us do it. We went in, I should say Cindy went in, staged it, actually painted her kitchen because it was orange. She came in, because it was her mother's house, the day that they staged it. She was out putting some flowers out, and Cindy's like, oh, you want to come in and see it? And she's like, well, I'm sure it looks fine. And Cindy's like, no, really, you should come in and see what it looks like. I don't think she wanted to go in because of the emotion, but she went in and broke down crying because it looked so good. And it took away a lot of the dated feel, because it's all brand new furniture, right? And it's today's trends, and that's what people see. They don't
Right.
see all of the old as much. But yeah, we either pay for some of it or.
Interesting.
And us as realtors, we get great ideas and think, man, I don't want to pay. So I'm going to reach out to Tim and ask him, can I ask you how much? Can you tell me how to do that? That's why we're here as a family. We are not competition to one another. Believe it or not, us as realtors are supposed to support one another, to help each other grow. And so, that's a fantastic idea. I would love to be able to do that versus me absorbing, because it does cost money to do it.
Do you guys do anything with any staging or anything?
No. I mean, in a nutshell, no, but I'll certainly recommend if things need to be painted, cleaned. More often than not, people have too much furniture, too much nonsense, and I just tell them, hey, when you move, when we sell the house, all that's going anyways, so you might as well get rid of it so the house presents better. So it's not staging per se, and again, that's the benefit of the team. Sarah's much better. She's got a design degree from Toronto or something, so she's smart and that's what she does. So, cleaning things up more than anything. I don't do as much staging. per se. And if it's vacant, I clean it up. And there are virtual, where you can paint furniture into it and all that stuff. But I haven't had to, but again, to everybody's point earlier, as the market shifts, that's more valuable and it presents better on us, whether a team or not.
And I have had, one just quick add-on to that. So I've had agents reach out and say, hey, can you help me? Do you have anything? I have a 4,000 square foot warehouse full of furniture that we can barely walk through. Again, my addiction, Tony will tell you. But I've had agents reach out and say, do you mind? And I don't. So if I don't mind lending stuff, as long as I get it back, if it helps you, like I said, we all work together here.
And Cindy will stage for other people, but it's about having the furnishings available depending on what's needed.
So I'm gonna call Cindy.
And then we also, last
That was
thing
my
with that.
question. On those rare occasions when you don't own a staging company and you need some staging, and some of those companies are kind of expensive, pretty expensive,
They're very
really.
expensive.
You're selling a $250,000 house and, it just gets to be costs.
We charge less than $2,000 to stage a house. So it's not a big,
Really?
it's
That's
not a
pretty
huge
reasonable.
expense.
And it pays for itself,
And your
because I'm paying employees.
Cindy's your
to do all that.
sister and she'll do it for other people?
Yeah, now if it's somebody else, I can't guarantee what the cost,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
but
gonna
it's-
be as
it'd
low as
be
that I
reasonable.
can do it for, right?
It'll be reasonable.
Necessarily, but it's reasonable. It doesn't, when it's somebody's core business and that's all they do, of course, it's gonna be more expensive. But, I have, and I offer it to all of our clients, and I pay Cindy to do this, is instead of me going through the house and telling them what I think is wrong and they should do this and do that, because it doesn't come across well, from the real estate agent and people get put off by it, I say, you know what, we have a staging company, I have a design person, this is what she does, she's fabulous at it. Why don't I pay for a 2-hour consultation and just have her come through and give you suggestions, because that's what she does every day.
Great idea.
They take that all day long, because it's free and it's somebody else coming in. Now what happens with that? Number one, she's working for our benefit, right? So now that client just had somebody else come in that gave them all this great advice. Cindy's super cute and bubbly and fun. And what's gonna happen? We're gonna get the listing,
Yeah.
right? Because not only what we did, but more so, what Cindy just offered them. And so they're more apt to call us back and sign with us versus somebody else. But it takes the burden off of me to tell them that get rid of the curio cabinet with
Yeah.
all of your curios and all this shit over here. You gotta, because when you go in for a listing appointment, that's the last thing they want to hear is all the crap that's wrong with their house from you, right? They want to hear how wonderful it is and how much money they're going to get. So I let her do that. And it
That's
works well.
really brilliant, because, we walk in and go, oh, we have a listing coming up in Walled Lake, and the house is tchotchke galore. And she's so proud of it, and like, how do you say? And their library, you walk in and their front room, their living room is just the bookshelves, and it's just loaded. And I'm thinking, man, I can't say anything, they're just so proud, look at this, and the husband finally, it's a difference between husband and wife, the husband said, don't you think there's just way too many books here? And I'm like, yes! So if you're okay with it, yeah, we're really thrilled about it. We went there and loaded up all the books, took them, but it would be really great. I love that idea.
I had a realtor tell me once, and I thought this was brilliant, in a probably an atmosphere, something to this. They said, once you put your house on the market, it gets to your point. Once you put your house on the market, it is no longer your home, it becomes a product. And so you need to view it as a product. So you take your personal items out and you basically stage it and create a product for somebody else. So and you're gonna move anyway, you're gonna need to pack your things up anyway, so you can do that. Put things in the garage or in the basement neatly and clear all of that out.
Yeah,
Because
and
now a
now-
product and people need to see the home and not your beautiful items.
Well, they need to see, definitely, it becomes
Yeah.
a,
But the product
They need
versus
to
your
become-
home, I thought that was,
yeah, they need to be detached from
Yeah.
it. And it is hard for some people to somehow
Yeah.
become detached.
Right.
So I think the brilliant idea is having someone else go in.
love that.
Well, and if you can't do that, then what you do is you find similar listings, and it might be the comps that you use, and you blow up the pictures, nice resolution of what those beautiful homes look like that sold for top dollar, that they're gonna want the same thing out of, and you show them, this is what this one looked like, and this is how minimal they had in the room, and
Right.
so you wanna emulate that, because that helped them get that number.
For sure.
And now now they can look, and they can look and go, yeah, we got some work to do, right?
We have
the
a
only-
section in our binder that actually is staging the before and after pictures,
Yeah.
so that people can actually, and we have a checklist on what you need to do to stage your home. So we give them the tools too, and then show them the before and after, all the presentation that we have.
Yeah, I always just say, location, condition, and price, those are the three things. And we can control condition and price, but we can't control location. So in price, if you're not willing to mess with the condition, then you're gonna have to deal with it with price. So it's either tidy the place up, change this, do this. And a lot of times it's, again, where do you start and stop? And if it's dated, you don't want them, they don't have to do all new flooring and paint to recoup, they can overcome that with price. It's just the presentation, in terms of the photos now and all that, you want
Yeah.
somebody to come to the party, so there's everything can always be overcome by price. It's just their decision whether they wanna do what needs to be done condition-wise or bring the price down where humans will see it and say that's reflected in the price. And the buyers have to agree or they're not coming.
Now, I've half thought about putting it out there so that the house looks really shitty, and then when they get there, they're ultra surprised that, oh my gosh, it looks so much better in person, right? Because that can go the other way, right?
Yeah.
You take really, really good pictures, and they get there, and they're like,
Yeah.
this isn't as good as it looked on the listing,
Yeah.
right? And so that can backfire.
Good question. On a percentage basis, what would the percentage number of clients that take staging services versus totally?
I'll tell you, those that we suggest do it, and again, if they're not going to, I offer to pay for half of it, and they see a good value there, 100% of them do it. When it's needed, not every home,
Needs
if it's vacant, it's an easy thing to do, right? If it's not vacant and they have all their stuff there, now it might just be having somebody come in and stage their stuff and take down some things and rearrange. So it's not going to be as expensive because we're not bringing in a house load of furniture. So it's case, but usually if we're suggesting it, they're doing it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, 100%.
Very little.
I have another question outside of staging, and then I'll be still.
Okay.
But how do you manage, particularly you guys, because you got a lot of activity going, how do you manage, or do you manage, quality versus activity? Because, you can only if you don't have the resources to put out all the quality that your mission statement and that your systems, to do the checklist for all your systems, if you don't have the resources to do that,
Right.
you don't have the resources, that means you're not doing it. So do you actually manage that in the terms of you only handle so many to ensure quality, or do you handle as much as you can take and the quality suffers? And sort of, how do you manage, like, I can find myself to this many clients at one time because we've decided that this is what we can do for this many clients, or versus not. Does that make sense? I mean,
First.
versus you just take everything and worry about it? Maybe?
Well, you know, for me, you just have more work to do. I mean, I've never been maxed out personally. I mean, we have a small team. I want to say, I think we did 70 transactions. So, you know, we're not doing 200. And if we were, that would be wonderful, but that would also require me to take on a whole different role. It would be more of a management role than a realtor role. So I think you know, we work longer days. Sometimes I'm not as busy. You know, if you have more volume, whether you're a team or a single agent, your days vary. You can always
Right.
spend more time looking for more business, but,
Right.
you know, it's not every day. I'm busy morning till night. You know, or my team members, some days, yes. So I think that kind of takes care of itself. I don't know. I think it's just more, I think if the humans we're dealing with, our clients, have contact with us and we don't disappear on them in the middle of a transaction, that's quality, you know, it gets to a closing table. So I do take the time to do that, you know, even if it's late or early, I'll call and there are calls I don't want to make, even in the middle of the deal, you know, but. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I think the business kind of takes care of that itself. If you're working longer and harder, well, does it, or you're,
Well, I haven't found that as an independent agent. I have found that sometimes more business presents itself than I'm able to do to the level of quality that I've established.
Well,
So,
that's when you
and
need
I
it.
wondered for teams,
That's
because
when you need
that's
a
just
team.
me, okay? And I know you, that's probably
So,
multiplied many times over. You guys who've been around a long time and have, so I just was
I
curious
think,
how you manage it.
I think really what they're saying is exactly that is, so when we started, it was just us, and then we had more people. And it sounds like you're at the point where you could use some assistance in a team, or someone to help you on a team. So then you bring them on, but you can't pay them hourly or the benefits
Right.
of an employee. So then you work on a percentage basis. And you have to have an agent who's willing to come on and work with you. But we haven't found that, because we kind of supply and demand, we grew as.
You
as
do,
there was a
so you
need
manage
for
it by growing, I guess
Yeah,
is what,
and,
I
but
guess
there's
that's what I
times
was
now
asking.
that my team will complain saying, well, I don't have enough business. And because it's summertime, that's bound to happen. So you're gonna have your ways, but if you feel like you can't handle, then, you know, ask Nicole, ask Jordan, see if there's any agents, go on ZipRecruiter. Try and put it out there that you're actually looking for.
Okay.
A
Well, I
buyer's
think if
agent
you're
or
getting
an
to the
assistant.
point where you're getting more business than you can handle, then you need an assistant, because you
Yeah.
shouldn't be turning away
I
business.
think that's what they're saying.
'Cause
Well, you
it'll
know,
more
it
than pay
depends
for
on
itself.
handle too, because I tend to want to do the kinds of things that I can relate
Yeah.
with you. I do a tremendous amount of service.
Yeah,
And that's just my personality, that's just what I'm
Yeah.
comfortable with. It's
Right.
more of a natural thing than
Yeah.
as well as a business decision. So, but I find myself actually managing, I can only manage so much business.
and that's where you
versus
just
in-
start asking, start
Yeah.
reaching out, talk to
Yeah.
other realtors. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm finding,
That makes sense.
Tanya, Jenny Studel went through Panera. And I was on the phone with Jenny and she's like, hey Tanya, and I'm telling Jenny, I really could use another, you know, buyer's agent or an
Right.
assistant. And so that's how I actually got introduced to Tanya, although she was already here.
Right.
I got introduced to her, so
So-
I think really it's just asking and putting your feelers out for somebody else, and if you have to pay for an ad on Indeed or ZipRecruiter, it's worth it.
Okay.
Nicole gets ads, applications all the time.
Okay.
And so you don't have to put out, you know, a big paycheck, as long as you have someone who's willing to grow with you and maybe get it on a percentage and learn.
Okay, thank you.
And spending, it's better to get 50% of the deal than no percent, right?
Right.
So even if, you know, gosh, I'm running all over, because I have all these buyers that I'm working with, and I'm assuming that you work with quite a few buyers, probably.
Mostly listings, actually, and my
Okay.
sellers become buyers, so I end up
Doing
on both
both.
sides of it, by
Yeah.
primarily
Well,
a lister more than.
If you find yourself in a position that gosh, I just don't have time to do everything, team up with a good agent that you trust
Yeah.
and say, hey, if I get in a position where I need to refer to you, this buyer, you've created now a little team, you're doing a referral, so they're gonna get 50% of it, you're gonna get 50% of it. That's what we pay our buyer specialists, or I do anyway, it's 50%.
Yeah.
You know, when the lead comes directly from our team. So, you know, that can be a huge time saver. And that'll introduce you a little bit to, oh gosh, I guess I could use a buyer's agent.
Right.
But first and foremost, somebody to handle the day-to-day. Don't be afraid to pay for somebody to manage your social media, because that's a huge thing.
Right.
And if you're not out there, you need to be.
Right.
And we pay a company that handles all of our social media. You know?
Tim, who do you pay to do your social media?
Colleen would know that.
Is it yours truly?
It is not.
Tell him the story of yours
Yeah. Oh. Renee was asking who does our brochures, and.
Because like I said, you ask, you have to,
Yeah.
we're all in a team here together, so
And-
if you're impressed
Because that
with
would be
something-
me for my business, that would be me.
Yeah.
You know, putting
And-
together the brochures.
And we
with
said
the-
we do.
And so do we.
Yeah.
And
But-
Colleen had responded to her, yours truly. And so Renee was Googling yours truly as the company that does our brochures.
And
And she
I'm
couldn't
with
find it.
Nicole.
That is
Nicole
so
sent me
funny.
Well, it said yours truly, so I'm in the office, and she goes, oh, you misunderstood.
Yeah,
I
that's
am yours
so
truly.
funny.
I just
Yeah.
burst out
Oh,
laughing.
That is so funny.
Ask the questions. You know what? We all are wanting to help one another. I've had agents who've said to me, and Tim has too, will you co-list? Will you co-list and will you come in and do this? And yes, if you're all ones are at Remax, we can all do that
Yeah.
together. So, but here's the social media aspect. Someone in my team does it, but it's not consistent. So that's where you'd say, if it's worth it, and you give them the data, and it's either Hootsuite or whatever that
Right.
does your social media, it's worth it to do. It's really inexpensive, and then that frees you up to be able to do other stuff, but
Right.
it puts your presence out there.
Thank you, that's helpful.
Okay, well, it looks like it's 10 o'clock, so we're gonna wrap things up. Does anybody have any last question for our panelists? If not, I wanna thank them for taking time out of their busy schedule to come and do this for us. I really appreciate it.
Actually, we're, just to be frank, we're really honored to be asked this, to be
Yeah.
able to help
Oh,
you
absolutely,
strengthen your individual businesses. So don't ever hesitate to call us or ask us. I mean, I've sat with agents at my computer and helped them build their social media and their presence. Just type your name on Google, see where you are, and when you're not in certain spots, then you start creating. So that's an easy one to do too.
Yeah. And making sure that you ask your clients for Google reviews.
Yeah.
That's huge,
Yeah.
you know, reviews. That'll get you more business, just that. You
Right.
start to build those reviews, and believe me, they're Googling you, just like our clients are Googling who's buying my house these days. I wanna know who it is and what they do, and they're doing that to you too, so, you know,
Google reviews are
It's
actually more
interesting, because
important
I
than
have
Zillow.
my clients go to my website and leave a review, because I have Remax managed the website.
Uh-huh.
You're saying Google, so how do you do that? One review and then you spread that to different places? Because Zillow has reviews, Google has reviews, your website has
You
reviews.
can't put it on Zillow. Zillow has to be from the individual, and you actually have to. have
Right,
an
and
account,
and they find a difficult time sometimes even leaving it. So I'm asking you, do you have one review and then get their permission to spread that?
We sometimes do. I mean, we've been doing Zillow. I started to do Google. So you just ask them, send them an email with a link and ask
Okay.
them if they can do it. Just know that if you get a Google review or a review somewhere else, it's not going to be put onto Zillow. But a Google review, I'm learning, is actually more important than Zillow. review.
Probably than Zillow or,
Yeah.
and I basically just have them confined to my website, so that's limiting.
If anyone wants me to go over what I've created as far as policies, procedures, my little checklist, and when I set up my file, which I started when I first started doing this, I'm up there.
you come in to give me a hug.
Take care, everyone.
I come and take a look.
How's the? Morning.
Good, good.
Hey, how are you?
Congratulations.
Me too. One of those days, man, one of those days. It's worth taking the day off yesterday.
I mean,
Nice, man.
you wanted that one, I
Yeah.
didn't have
Good day,
one.
man.
Move out, but,
Thanks.
Ah.
I got a little more weed whacker.
You going back there?